Serenity Winz. What a wonderful show. I've learned so much about humans. And oh no, don't put the hand there. Put it. Yeah. Oh yeah, humans. Oh, Serenity Winz. It's a great podcast. It's so good that we came all the way from where did we come from? We came from another galaxy. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna watch from the sky. Okay. Yeah. All right. I know I'm working on the graphics. I know I'm aware of that. I'm in communicados with an artist. She said maybe she should do some renderings and create stuff and have a better spaceship. I don't know. We're going to see what that is. But hey, guess what? I'm happy to be here on... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to do something. Okay, for those of you who are on YouTube right now, you're like wondering, what is he talking about? Well, because I prepare myself for the following episode, right? Because I tape two in one setting, if you want, of 2 hours. I tape 1 hour, and then I stop, and then I tape another hour. And I just realized, oh yeah, I forgot to change the logo on one of them. So I have to adjust that live is good. It's good. Christopher Walken. So live. When you do it live, you make sure that you have the watch. You watch the time, because that's how a podcast, something people watch, is supposed to be done. You don't wait till the show starts to make it the change. But in my case, that's exactly what I did. So I think I've just fixed that. Pew! Whew, that was a close one. People on TikTok are watching me. They're going, what is he talking about? I don't see any numbers. Yeah, because you are on TikTok and you are on YouTube. Well, I can't even show my finger. Where's my finger? And you are on YouTube. Your TikTok and your YouTube. Oh, but when I show YouTube, it looks like I'm looking at the same place. Okay, so your TikTok and your YouTube. All right. So the graphics on YouTube are a bit more elaborate because right now the live TikTok is using my phone. So oddly enough, I don't know how to put the graphics on the phone. So I don't put the graphics on the phone. I guess eventually I could figure it out. This is a new time for me. Like, this is a new space, unknown space. I got 2 cameras rolling on me. I'm like, whoa, what's going on, man? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll have like 3 or 4. And then to be like the director in the background. Okay, just go to camera 1. That's good. Oh, he's using his body. Oh, he's dancing like Michael Jackson. Go to camera 5. Large body. Good one. Yeah. Okay, now move in for the close-up, right? Zoom in. Excellent. Okay, hold that. Oh, he looks like he's in a deep moment there. He's in his thought. Oh, wait, he just spilled water. Just cut to commercial. Cut the commercial! Yeah. All right. So, commercial aside, today's episode is, as usual, I want to get all this stuff out of the way. Welcome to Serenity Winz. This is my journey as a recovering alcoholic. C'est en anglais because I'm not ready yet to do a French episode. I know I probably could, but I don't feel as comfortable. Like Christopher Walken in French is like, alors, le café chaud, et ça brûle. Ah, wow, c'est bon ça, le café. I don't know about Christopher Walken in French. What about Trump? Je juste veux dire, hein? It actually works. He actually sounds like one of our politicians. Je veux juste vous dire. Moi, c'est bon. C'est excellent. C'est le meilleur des podcasts. Moi, j'écoute ça, Serenity Winz. All right. Okay. Maybe in the near future, I could have maybe a bilingual episode, right? Because there's alcoholics that are French and there's alcoholics that are English. But hey, while you're at it, why not have, parla italiano. Oh, hey, io imparo come parla italiano per solo 9 mesi, ma bisogna di pratica davvero una vera persona. Hey, we could have an Italian version. Whoa, hey, what are we going to do? Hey, oh. I'm fabulating right here, but there is a bit of truth. While I am in Quebec, I do understand that there's definitely some francophones who don't fully understand English. And I know there's a lot of francophones who could, because they already watch Netflix in English. So, hey, take the time, même si t'es français, d'écouter Serenity Winz. Surtout si t'es dans souffrance ou t'es dans le processus de devenir pur à l'intérieur, dans le sens que tu fais partie du programme AA. Puis même si tu fais même pas partie du programme AA, écoute-le podcast en anglais parce que ton subconscient, crois-le ou pas, il catch lui. Même si toi tu comprends pas, ton subconscient il enregistre parce que le subconscient il est bien fort. Là. Tu sais, c'est comme Youpi, là. Tu sais, c'est comme une mascotte là, qui contrôle tout, là, puis toi t'es même pas conscient. Là, tu sais, fait que prends le temps de l'écouter. Yeah, that was my advertising to the francophone listeners out there. So, I'm just all over the place. So, with that being said, I'm not doing so far yet a French episode. I'd like to, or let me rephrase that. I'm up for the challenge. You know what? If I'm being, yeah, what you were lying to me before because you're going to say now if you're truthful, exactly. Thank you, Guido. Hey, that's what I'm for. Okay. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that in French, the message will not come across. I'm more at ease in English. I'm able to say this. And this is odd because obviously I come from French parents. But I've been working on my Anglophone, I saw Hollywood many years ago, and obviously I didn't quite get there. But maybe this is not about getting to Hollywood. This is just about reaching out with the heart, and talking and sharing and maybe someone who's suffering out there. Maybe there's someone who's addicted to video games and they don't know how to stop. So maybe by listening to the podcast, I go, oh, I could go to a meeting. Maybe someone who's still, who's in the program. They're actually on their 19th day or on the second day or on the first day. And they're like, I really want to drink. Well, maybe if they listen to the podcast, they'll go, oh, okay, I get it. All right. Or maybe just I'm not alone. I had an event that happened to me last week. And I was fortunate enough to know that I had a discussion group the next day, and I was able to share it. And just sharing that event just made it just feel so much. I was not alone. The event that triggered me was something that happened many, like when I was a child. But when I was a child, I was unable to convey, to let people know how much pain I was in. I was unable to let people know that their ignorance was literally affecting me. Their comments was literally hurting me. And this time, I was able, as the adult, to accompany my inner child in the meeting and say, this happened to me, and now I'm letting it go, and it's okay. It's all right. And by the way, the event that itself happened was not, it wasn't even an event. It's something that triggered me, but it had nothing to do with the individual who was speaking. He was just sharing stuff. He was just kind of talking, but he said something that just brought me back to my childhood. And, talking about making amends, I will eventually get a chance to talk to that member and say, and share with him what I went through. Far from being accusative, just so I know that what I couldn't do when I was a child, I can do now. And so I could close that document. In French, we say, je peux boucler le cercle. Je peux boucler le dossier. I could buckle the dossier. So, yeah. So that's what it means to have people with you. So, I kind of lost my thought there, but I'm going to go right into the Serenity Prayer as I normally do. Dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change those that I can, and the wisdom to understand the difference between both. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And finally, or not finally, because and this podcast, right? This guy in front of you talking with the sunglasses on and the hat. And if you're on YouTube and you're not watching and you're doing your gardening and the mechanics, or maybe you're helping your child study for some reason and you happen to have me in the background, which, by the way, I'm all for it. You know, hey, maybe that child, maybe they're 13 years old or 14 years old. Or maybe they're in the process of maybe thinking about going out and drinking. And maybe if they hear my voice, I go, I don't want to be like him. No, I don't want to be like him. I never want to be like him. So even if you're helping your child study and this is in the background, I want you to know this podcast is not at all sponsored, affiliated, or associated with any nonprofit organization such as Alcoholics Anonymous. This is part of my brainchild. This is part of my mission. This is part of my promise to JD. I said to him many months ago, if you help me get out of my sick bed, and I will be a better version of myself and spread your word. I said this not even knowing back then that I was going to do a podcast called Serenity Winz about my journey as a recovering alcoholic. And here I am. The good news is, if you happen to be looking to buy a new home or rent a new apartment, or renovating for that matter, I really can't help you with any of those things. No, I really can't. No. However, if for some reason, such as those, you do need to have new furniture, or you just want to add something to spruce up the place, give it some style, you have some friends showing up eventually, and you're like, hey, man, check this out. I got this at cruiseaway.ca, www.cruiso.ca. And when you punch in the code SWD10, you'll get a 10% discount. That's right. So you could do your shopping there if you want online. It doesn't matter how much you purchase. If you want to save like $1,000, right? $1,000. You can save $1,000, right? You buy $10,000 worth of stuff. Then, or you put it in your shopping cart. You put $10,000 worth of shopping cart stuff. And just before you pay, there's a code you put in, and you will save $1,000. That's like almost saving the tax right there. Bam! That's a great time to buy a house, rent a condo, buy a condo, renovate something. It's a great time for furniture because you can get all of that with 10%. Well, not the condo, but the furniture inside and the decorating stuff. And it's really nice. Like, he's my client that I work with 3 days a week, and they have an awesome philosophy all about, saving the environment and all that stuff. And so he's heard, I told him what I was doing because obviously we talked, and he said, you know what, I want to help you out. I want to see what I can do. And so he came back to me a few weeks later and he said, you know what, put this in. And so that's a great thing. So we're really happy about that. He's our first official sponsor. And hey, if you happen to listen to this and you say, yeah, you know what, I want to put my products there too. Well, depending what it is, obviously I'm not going to put any beer products or alcohol products. But if it's good for the mind and good for the soul, it could find its way. Speaking of which, I'd like to know what you guys think about this. I've recently been contemplating whether or not I should go to, it's called the Salon de l'Éveil. And I guess it's like, an exposition with a bunch of, people there and exposing people. Des exposants. On appelle ça des exposants. And I would go there simply to promote Serenity Winz as a podcast. Now, obviously, it's in Quebec, so I don't know how much of the Anglophone market I would reach. I'm still thinking a lot of Francophones understand English, and maybe this kind of podcast could reach a lot of people. So if you want to leave in your comments, yeah, it's a great idea, or don't be an idiot, please do so, because I'm on the fence. And I also recently spoke to my friend Frank, which many of you know. Hey, Duelo 52. Don't forget to look at TikTok. TikTok's there too, man. Yeah, I know. I don't want to say I'm more concerned about YouTube, but the thing about YouTube is that they can go to it anytime. Versus TikTok, it's like right now. It's like now. It's like if you're watching me now. Now, obviously, it also helps with the numbers when I talk about the live event promotion. If I say I got 1,400 people following me on TikTok, it's good. All right, so today's topic. Now, I know when I left number 13, I said I was going to open up with Cunilingus. I can't believe I just did that. You're just so funny. Cunilingus. Ooh. I don't know if you guys get to hear the same resonance because I have the headsets on, but it's like, ooh, Cunilingus. Okay. I want to hold off just a little. I will talk about it in this episode. I want to talk first about a subject matter that I said, no. Man, I didn't even bring it. I just saw the drumsticks. I didn't even play them so far. And by the way, I'm actually going to be taking drumming lessons. I met someone, and I should, obviously I got to start with basics. But yeah, they're going to teach me some drumming lessons. So that's really cool. Why are you stalling, man? You were supposed to talk about Cunilingus. Okay, I'm not stalling. I'm just getting, my bearings. Last week, I had a theme because it related to what I was going through. And then throughout the week, I met someone very dear to me. And she's in the process of joining, of coming, at least at a minimum. She's in the process of coming to a meeting with me because she knows she shared with me, and one of the things she said is exactly the same thing that the guy today sharing in the hall, because there's a guest speaker. I guess we call them guest speakers. And it was literally what I was thinking when I thought of that concept before having met these two people. And so what happens when we stop drinking, and this is a reality. This is a reality. This is not your imagination. We change our habits. We naturally change our habits because, first of all, as time progresses, we begin to eliminate some of the triggers we used to have, right? So, wow, it's a great day. It's beautiful. Let's go to a terrace and drink a beer, a nice, cold, fresh beer, and watch the ladies in the miniskirts walk by, right? Or, oh, man, it's raining. Oh, that sucks. Oh, it sucks so much. I'm just going to go to the bar and have a beer because it's raining. Or, hey, it's Friday night. Let's go out and party. I heard this amazing beatboxer the other day on, I guess it was on one of the video channels, TikTok or Facebook or something. And it was like, I'm holding my cheeks now. Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I heard it, and clearly I tried to recreate it, and I'm terrible at it. A point I'm making is that we change our habits. We no longer have the same triggers. And also, maybe at first, it's a challenge to just be in a place where there's a lot of alcohol. So if you bring that to the next level, you start to change who you're hanging out with. And then if you bring that to the next level, you might eventually start to touch upon, people that were close to you before. But now that you no longer drink, you realize you no longer have that much in common with these individuals. Where you used to be full of resentment and frustration and anger, and you could sit in a bar and bitch about the whole economic system and Klaus Schwab and, their prime minister, and they voted for him because he's so good looking, but he's not that good looking. Or, well, what about, you shouldn't forget about me. I'm definitely one conversation all the time, And then you realize, well, I don't want to talk about those things anymore. And so slowly you realize, and this is hard for me to say because I might have some people listening to me, and this is actually making me a little sad. and the when she was talking to me, I could see it in her voice, and I understood what she was saying. I understood and I accepted, and I told her, I said, look, yes, it is part of that process, but you have one life to live. And do you prefer living your life in a condition where you quote unquote have a lot of what seem like friends and feel like your interior is all polluted and muddy and literally shitty? I can say it, shitty. Or do you prefer cleaning the insides and purifying it and feeling great, feeling wonderful, doing amazing things? Not because you want to, but because you can. Because now you have the power. You probably have the power within yourself, but you also have your higher self now. And you also have the new, as we say it in French, le nous. The whole AA is all about people helping out each other. And I made a decision a while ago. I'm on my second year now. Whatever happens, I want to be well inside. I want to clear, I want to purify. And if that means that eventually some friends, I'll see them less, then it's just what, as my, sponsor says, and he would say it in French, it was, Chris, ce qui arrivera va arriver. I guess the equivalent would be like, Christ, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Sometimes it's just meant to happen. And I've been talking, and I haven't even talked about the topic, but I think you're all understanding where I'm getting at. It's the friendships. How do we find friends? This is something that I'm in the process of doing. How do we define friends? What is a friend? That's our first topic, because I think it is important. Because if you happen to be suffering and going through the movement, at one point you will have no other choice but to let your friends who are still partaking in consumption, who are unwilling to accept. How many times would you go somewhere and your friends are literally offering you a beer when they know you're in the process of quitting drinking, but they're like, just have a beer. Because, you're the mirror. If you're not having a beer and they're having the beer or smoking the joint, you're the mirror in front of them that shows them something is off. They don't know what. There's just something is off. They will naturally point out to you saying, you're the one that's off. Why are you not having that beer? Why are you not smoking that joint? Why are you not shooter? Yeah, shooter. 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 Fuck, man. Why you not taking a fucking shooter, man? God, fuck. It's your turn to pay the shooter. I pay the last round. You pay it. Yeah. That's really how it was. So you become a mirror to those who were close to you, at least in the vicinity. And the more you purify, and I know it sounds pretentious when I use the word purify. I don't mean like putting my hand in the air and there's a new race and there's a pure race. That's not at all what I'm talking. I'm talking about our soul, our interior. I'm talking about the things that if we strip, I wear cowboy boots and I wear a hat and I got sunglasses on and I drive a Silverado. If I strip all of that, if I walk around naked, clearly someone's going to call the police. Although they might wait because I'm such a good-looking guy. So the guy who's supposed to be in humility and now is way not humility. Truth. Oh, come on. I got to allow myself a few of these. If we strip down everything, we're individuals, right? We're humans. I even have a challenge every time people stand up and go, I'm an alcoholic. So I try to find ways to say, I'm a human who has a personality that falls in the alcoholic, but I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a human. And so the essence of who we are, that's part of our soul. And if we've had experiences in our life that for whatever reason tarnished that, whether we were a child or whether it was done later on. Some people have traumatic experiences that happen to them later on in their life, but they still tarnish. And depending on how you went about dealing with it, maybe you fell into the bottle. Maybe you ran away. Maybe it was such a terrible feeling that you're like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. I just want to get drunk. I just want to get drunk. I just want to get stupid drunk and not think. I don't want to feel anything. And this is actually something I hear very often, people talking about in the movement. And I concur. I was like that too. We don't want to feel anything. We just want the numbness. But in the end, we're running away. Instead of facing what needs to be faced, we're running away. Now, that means that when you do decide to live in sobriety, to live sober, and to live in the present moment, there is going to be some intensity. Don't kid yourself. Being sober is a challenge. It's hard. And it's so rewarding. Give yourself that chance. Give yourself the chance to be sober. And you might be thinking, well, I don't drink that much. I only drink on the weekends or maybe on a Saturday, maybe on a Thursday, but like say Monday, Tuesdays, I don't drink. Wednesday, maybe at lunchtime, but yeah, I get that. I was like that myself. I was like, I don't drink that much. And then I remember at one point I started having leftover beers from the weekend, and then it'd be like a Monday or a Tuesday, I'd be back from work, and then I'd be sitting in the couch, and it'd be like 7:00, and I'd be like, I'm going to watch a show, watch Netflix. I'm like, you know what? I remember there's a beer in the fridge. You know what? I'm just going to have that beer, and then I have that beer, and I'm like, because I'm thinking that while I'm doing this, having my beer by myself, I'm far from being an alcoholic. I'm just relaxing, right? That's in French, we say le mental menteur, right? The brain that lies. I'm just relaxing, right? You have that glass of wine. I'm just relaxing. I hear so often, especially when women get in front and they're guest speakers, they'll say, well, I was sophisticated. I only drank good wine, Of course, they don't have the British accent, but that's what a lot of them say that. They're like, I wasn't an alcoholic. I was drinking good wine, And I remember I dated a sommelier, man. And when I was dating a sommelier, let me tell you, we weren't just having one bottle. We'd have like 2, 3 bottles. Oh, attends, j'ai un bon vin à te faire goûter. And she'd just go in her basement, and then she'd come back up with a bottle of wine. I'd be like, I'm already giddy. I'm already like, hey, yeah, I'm going to get some tonight. Yeah, she's like, goûte à ça, taste this. Taste this is very, hold on. She had a more feminine voice. Taste this, it's very good. She didn't talk like this, but you get the picture. She was and next thing I know, it's like fucking 2:00 or 1:30 in the morning, and I'm looking, and there's like fucking 3 bottles of wine on the coffee table, and there's a half a glass. And then usually by that time, that's when it got stupid. Like a comment would be said something, and then she'd get all worried. It was like, and then it was drama city. I'm like, what the fuck? What was just going on? I was just chilling, and oh man. And if you ask me, do I ever want to go back there again? Fuck no. And you know what? This one's for you, Joe. You said to me, just be yourself. Well, this one, do I ever want to go back there again? Fuck no. So, alcoholism means that you have to change how you think, what you do, and most likely who your friends are. And when you join the movement, everyone's there for you. But obviously, you don't click with everyone. There's only a few that you click with. And what I realized, and that was also part of my journey, and I want to share this too, and I think another member who listened to my podcast recently, I think he might be going through the same thing. You see, especially if you're new, you see how some people really seem to be clicking. But you have to understand, these people have been in the meeting for 20 years, 10 years, even someone who's been there for 5 years. So they've seen them maybe once, twice, 3 times a week for over 5 years or 2 years or whatever. And maybe even if they've only had their 6-month chip, but they've been there for freaking 5 years, you understand? So naturally, the bonds are going to build. But when you're new and you see this, and I was like an outsider seeing this, it felt like shit. Like for me, it was like because it brought me back to that state where I was alone, and you don't want to be alone. That's what drove me to the bottle. Like since I was a teenager, I just drank because I didn't want to be alone. Because there was always someone drinking. There was always a party somewhere. There's always someone drinking. And instead of triggering me, I just allowed it. And then slowly, as I really began absorbing the program and getting more and more implicated in the program, they started seeing more, and people started talking to me, and I started talking to others, and so now I'm getting to know people. It's too soon to say whether they're becoming friends, like friends. But I'm getting to. It's already for me a huge step because I don't know how to meet people. I'm being completely honest. This podcast is my journey as a recovering alcoholic, and if you're a recovering alcoholic, you might be going through that process where you're like, how the fuck do I make friends? How do I meet new people? How? Because that's what I was thinking earlier on this week, and that's what happened when I spent time with my dear, and she shared that with me. And that's what the guy today at the guest speaker, as the guest speaker, talked about. He said, you got to change. Now, I'm not saying you have to change all your friends. I'm saying it's part of the path. I have been making, I don't want to use the word effort because it's not an effort. I've been reaching out to people that even while I was drinking, they're dear to me, Now, if there's a difficulty in communication and they're unable to reach out, at one point I will understand, just like the member at the bar who's hanging out with Mrs. Kazubas. For those of you who are listening to episode number 13, you know exactly what I'm talking about. At one point I'll understand, okay, the person for whatever reason isn't ready, and that's all right. So I send them lots of love, and when the reach out happens, it happens. So, and I realize as time progresses that in the past, I made myself not have any friends. I made myself because I was not able to feel that connection. I didn't trust people. And I'm working on that. But so now I'm beginning to be open to the idea and seeing and so now I have all these questions. Okay, well, how would I define? Is it someone who suddenly invites me to chill out their lake and just talk and just be with them? Are they just being kind? Are they being friendly? Is he just like that? Should I read more into it or lessen, Or when you decide to go and have coffee with another member, So, and this might seem like idiotic to you or banal or ignorant but that's where I'm at. And maybe there's someone else in there, someone listening. Someone else in there. There's someone else in there. Hello? There's someone else in there. Tuck, 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 tuck. Someone listening. As I had one member who literally said the podcast was good. And he reminds me a little bit about me. He reminds me a bit about that awkwardness in terms of making friends. So it's a serious question. And if I was to answer, I don't have all the answers. That's the truth. But I guess if we stand together and we ask the questions, eventually we might find more answers. So, okay, so how do we find friends? Well, do something different. Don't hang out in the same bar, If you happen to like the guest speaker today has a huge passion. He's training for Ironman, so that's really cool. So he said, I do my passion, and along my passion, I meet people. Because he basically just, he re-engineered what he used to do when he was high and stoned. He was high and stoned, so he would hang out with people who were high and stoned. That was their passion, being high and stoned and drunk and whatever. And then basically after that, you go, okay, well, now I don't want to do that. So I figured out that by doing his passion, which is for instance, what I'm doing, because this podcast is definitely a work of passion. Well, it is for me. I don't know for you, but for me, it is. And so finding is one thing, but then how do you define it? You know, I went to have coffee. I shared with them. And this is the challenge also I find because in the movement, challenge is the wrong word. Let me rephrase that. This is there's beauty in what I'm about to say. While it's not entirely beautiful, there's beauty in it. And it's like when you go to discussion meetings and you, that's a loud motorcycle. Meh, meh. Note to myself, sound insulation. Is there people on TikTok there? Oh, I missed you guys. All right. I'm not even aware of TikTok people anymore. So when you have a discussion meeting, and I'm going to several discussion meetings a week, you start to hear people really kind of like if you were watching on YouTube now, you'd be like, I'm unzipping my chest. I'm like, and then I'm kind of opening my chest and just letting my guts out. You know, you're really you're sharing it on the line because that's part of it's the process to heal. And as I shared with last week, you know, so you get to really see people deep inside. And there's something about that that's very attractive. So you say, oh, you know what? I'd like to get to know this person a bit better. There's something about them that I connect with. So that brings my next question. How do we define, you know, who's a friend? You know, how do we define friends? Are there people who just know really some really close stuff about us that we can call friends? Are they the ones who we call and we talk to every day, every week? Are they the ones that we see once in a while, but when we see them, it's just like we saw them yesterday? These are my questions. These are my questions, and if you have answers, please leave them in the comments. And by the way, I've been saying that, I guess, for 14 episodes. Although, have I been on YouTube for 14 episodes? Yeah, well, they're all on YouTube. Yep. Okay, but I don't even know how to get those comments. I'm being honest. That's why Fred, my tech guy, the one I've accepted, I'm looking forward for him to say, well, this is where you go when you want to read comments. Because obviously, if you leave your comments and I don't know where to go and read them, I don't know. I don't know that you have comments. And I'm always saying, leave your comments. I'll get back to you on that. I guess I was a bullshitter without even knowing it or fully stating it. I don't know where to get the comments. I thought that YouTube would put a little bell and then just click there and I see dialogue, but I haven't seen that yet. So I don't know. But leave your comments. Go ahead, leave your comments. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Eventually, I'll figure out where to find it. Yeah, seriously, leave your comments. Eventually, I will figure out where to find it, whether it's on YouTube. Hey, I also have, for those of you listening, I also have a Facebook page, Serenity Winz, which I will believe the spelling will be improved starting on the month of August because I had 60 days to wait because I changed the name. And so I don't think it has the Z yet. So if you happen to also be subscribed to me or the podcast on YouTube, hey, do me a solid and go on the Facebook page too and click like, because you know what? Facebook recognizes that. And in the end, it's not that I care as much for myself and my validation, because I think I'm good with that. It's about the future. And when I say the future, it's about the future projects and the future visions that I see. I want to reach as many people as possible, because if it's true what the members told me today, that when I speak from the heart, I reach a lot of people, then let me use that. Let me use God's voice. And I say this, and I know that a few years ago I'd have been cringing, like, well, God's voice. Even a few years ago, I was a spiritual person. Now it just seems to be like, it's all right. It's all right. So I'm using God's voice, and he, kind of channels it through me and my soul, and they words come out, and next thing you know, I'm here. I'm just saying, sometimes it's a good thing. So by liking the Facebook page, you let future advertisers or future clients or future media distributors understand, oh, hold on a second, he's getting more and more views. I am in a process of putting a Spotify channel together. I have to. Hey, Serenity! Yeah! What up? Happy to see you. Thanks for joining. So, I was just saying how it helps to like the page, like the Facebook page and the YouTube page. And yeah. Well, did you change your name? I just see two hearts. You have no name. Oh, Tiff. I remember you, Tiff. This is when I used to be on TikTok, but the Jesus channel and even Boxy Yoga. You were there when I was Boxy Yoga, right? Oh, you like the live. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's been with me now for has it been a year? Has it already been a year? 2 years? It's been, I lose track. But anyways, thanks, Tiff. So Tiff, today the reason why I'm able to do this is because my phone is doing a live TikTok, but I'm also using the TikTok live studio to record this episode because from my TikTok live studio, I wasn't able to log on to the live. So I said, what? I'm going to do Christopher Walken. So I said, I'm going to log on through the telephone. And so I have like 2 cameras. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible, Christopher Walken. Anyways, so I have 2 cameras that I'm working with right now, and there you go. So I was just defining, what are friends? Because as you know, as a recovering alcoholic, that's part of the process. You're naturally, if you begin to stop consuming, you're going to change the circle of people around you, and eventually you're going to find. Now, one beautiful thing that was said by one of the members, he said, it is challenging. You do have to change your friends. But when you meet new members, they will become your new family. And he said it in French, and it was tisser la famille ensemble, which I guess in English would be not to sew the fabric, the social fabric tissue. You don't sew it together. Is that the word? You don't crochet the fabric. Anyways, maybe you could leave your comments and say, no, dumbass, this is the comment. Oh, okay, all right. Well, anyway, all this is that you do begin to have a closer net of people. And I also believe that because even just my relationship with, I call him my sponsor, but that's just to keep him anonymous because he's my friend. Every time I see him and we talk and I learn so much from him, as I said last time, I learned to have, humility in my confidence or confidence in my humility, where before I thought I needed ego to be confident. And that's because of him. That's because of our exchange, our discussions, just sitting on the front balcony and just kind of talking. So, defining a friendship, that's most likely going to be one of the steps you will have to do when you do decide that you don't want to partake anymore and drink, and that you need to change those bar friends. I mean, I remember I thought I had a lot of bar friends, and then when my permit was suspended because I was quote unquote stopped for drinking and driving, but at the time I was able to say, oh, and which, by the way, it is true. It was an unlawful seizure because they had no reason to stop me. And when I asked him, he had no reason. Now, having said that, had I accepted to blow in some sort of ethometer, is that an ethometer? Anyways, the balloon, it might have popped. So, I am not at all admitting guilt. I'm saying it might have. And during these 3 months, no vehicle, living in the small town of Almarin, you don't get very far. I think I had a bicycle. I remember, oh yeah, I was pedaling on a bicycle in the middle of winter. Oh yeah, because I had to do community work to pay off a ticket, but I couldn't drive my truck. So I had to pedal on the bike at minus 20, or maybe not minus, I think at minus 15 or whatever. It was cold. It was damn cold. And there I am in my 40s pedaling on a bike in the middle of a snowstorm to get to the center where, I'm very grateful they allowed me to do the community work. Oh man, that was pathetic. God damn it, you can be so pathetic when drinking makes us so fucking sad. I can't believe it. All right. Sorry, I lost track there. During those 3 months, all these bar friends, the so-called bar friends, none of them called me, and no one reached out to me. No one even sent me a text or said, "Hey man, how you doing? We haven't seen you in a while. Are you all right? This or that." Now, granted, maybe I wasn't part of the official clique, which is also very possible because back then I was an asshole, and I used to say that being an asshole, no one expects anything from you. I'm starting to change that. I don't need to be an asshole anymore. I can be myself, meaning I could be reserved and keep my distance, but I don't have to be an asshole anymore. Although I don't think I was an asshole back then. I was just different, right? Different. And I had a major crash because no one reached out to me. Literally nobody reached out. And I thought I had go to the bar and you meet people here. You're thinking, oh, there's 10, 15 people usually, so got to get a call. Nothing. And I remember I had the same crash many years before that, right? Because remember, I got off Facebook and all social media about 6, 7 years. I guess now it's 8 years ago or something like that. And I only got back onto it when I wanted to promote Bhakti Yoga, my training, boxing and yoga and whatnot. But when I decided to get off Facebook about, say, 7, 6, or 8 years ago, that was hard too because suddenly you lose. Kyle, is that Kyle? Is that the same Kyle that was asking to ask questions? Kyler? No, I think it's another one. All right. Sorry, I got distracted there because at one point Kyle asked to join, ask a question. Can I ask a question? And I didn't see him. So what I'm trying to say is that when I left Facebook many years ago, I did also have that crash because from one day to the next, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what people are thinking. And I didn't get off Facebook and keep Messenger. I had nothing. It was a beautiful experience, by the way, because after the crash, which took about 2 weeks, right? From that moment on, I was in the present moment. I was there. I was just there. I wasn't looking down on the phone saying who's doing what and who's saying what. I wasn't looking at what's the next event. I would find out about them. Someone say, "Hey, there's a dance. You want to go dance barefoot at the church?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds like fun." And, a year or two ago when I decided I wanted to promote Bhakti Yoga, which began this process, I kind of fell in the trap, right? I was like, okay, it's only going to be for the promotion, the video, but eventually you start scrolling. And then at one point you're looking for an apartment. So I'm very happy to say that now in the last week, because I mentioned this about 3 weeks ago, I had a goal of, I've really cut down that time. And I'm really more and more into the present moment where literally I'll put the phone away somewhere and I won't even look at it. So I'm happy about that. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying this because the crash of finding out you're alone when you're not ready, it's really hard. And it might even trigger some of us to go drinking, which, by the way, it did. Because obviously, 7, 6 years ago, I was still drinking. And when my permit did get suspended, I was still drinking, right? I think it was a year after that I stopped drinking. But during that time, I wouldn't see the people, but I'd still be drinking. I'd be drinking on my own. I'd be like, oh, it's Friday. I'm going to have a beer at home or have a 6-pack or I'd go to my friend's house. I go to my friend's house and I drink but the trigger, if you're not aware of it, can bring you right back to where you were before. And I really want to make sure that you're aware of that. So friends, they're important. Choose them wisely. And give yourself the time. And I'm saying this more to myself than to actually those listening to YouTube. Phoenix, give yourself time. You don't have to make friends right away, and you don't have to jump as a friendship just because the person happens to invite you here or there. And I think it's easier to make friends when we're kids, right? It's like, oh, look, I like this. Oh, yeah, okay. Ba-da-da-da. In my case, it was really easy because I was really alone. So when I met my Mauritius family and I met the first brother, Stefan, um, it was like, but I was also in kindergarten. I mean, we are way back when, obviously in the last few years, life happens. They have children. Like, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I reach out, and it's true that every time I go there, it feels like I was just there yesterday. But the reality is, I wasn't just there yesterday. So as much as it feels like I was there yesterday, while I'm there, sure, I'm in that mode where I'm like, yeah, everything's. But then, I've seen on Instagram that one of them was following me, and but there's no, and they say that I'm not reaching out to them, and I think there's a bit of a flaw there. I think people are not reaching out to me or whatever. Is that important? I don't know. I just accept it. The point is the concept of when you see them, it feels like you just saw them yesterday. Yeah, it's nice in theory, and it's also nice during the day. But in reality, I think a friendship is also about someone that you have a communication with on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be every day. That's a little strange, especially when you have a girlfriend, right? When you start having a girl in your life, but maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks or something. But you have a little bit of a relationship. You have an exchange. You get to share. Hey, how's your day? Dude, man, I'm having a terrible day. My fucking boss is just up my, I don't know what. Hey, man, just accept yourself in that situation and just go with the flow. Oh, man, thanks, man. That's great advice. Something like that. So, and I've been making a point now to, sometimes once in a week or every now and then a week, because I am starting to get so many phone numbers of members. Once in a while, I choose some and I just leave them a good morning message like, hey, how's it going? Have a great 24 hours. Nothing major, nothing long, but just something to say, hey, you know what? You're not alone. Because again, in the movement, we're not alone. So if you happen to be struggling with alcohol or suffering or feeling like you're in a dark cloud or you don't want to live anymore, go find a meeting. Go to a meeting because you'll feel the love. You'll feel the love. And don't, you can take my word for it and you can go for yourself and find out because that's what happened with me. So, because I don't have all the answers and it's already 53 minutes and I've already been pushing the concept of Cunilingus down the road, meaning several episodes, I'm going to finish off this episode number 14 with the topic Cunilingus. Ooh. I did that in 13 and I was like, I got to do that again. All right. Let me first say that I'm doing the Cunilingus topic because I said I would, and as I mentioned in others episodes, honor, respect is very important. So, what can I say about it? I like it. I like doing it. I mean, I'm being honest. I don't know what else I could say. Oh, by the way, this also applies not just to men doing Cunilingus to the women, but also women doing Cunilingus to another woman, right? This show is for everybody. I'm telling you, if you're a recovering alcoholic and you happen to be a woman, stick around. Listen to Serenity Winz. It's for everyone. If you're someone suffering and you happen to be of the female description, stick around. It's for everyone. So let's start off with, I like it. I like doing it. I think there's something very sensual about it and very intimate. It's intimate. I mean, it's like when I'm receiving, right? Like, obviously, I'm not receiving Cunilingus. I'm receiving fellatio. Oh, wait a minute. We're changing the topic from Cunilingus to fellatio. No, we're not. We're just giving the example, something that I can understand, Uh, there's something beautiful about receiving. And although we have different body parts and different anatomy, I believe the orgasms are somewhat similar. Although some people have a tendency to say that women's orgasm are more explosive. I don't know. I've never been in a woman's body. So the idea that I'm giving this pleasure is something that is very, is the word rewarding the right word? Accomplishing? Am I feeling love? Am I just giving from the bottom of my tongue? Am I just like, I'm there for her. I'm there for my partner. I'm there. I'm just there. And she's receiving, and if I'm doing a good job, she's receiving. Now, obviously, I have a podcast and I have several thousand, 100,000, millions of people listening to me. We're not there yet, but that's the vision. That's the direction. To be told that you have a certain gift, it's always flattering. And I'll admit, I've heard that more than once. I've heard that. I mean, I enjoy it, right? So obviously, if I enjoy it, then I'm probably doing something good because it's not just good for her, it's good for me. I'm not going to get into the actual techniques about it because first of all, the video screen right now on YouTube is a little jittery. So that'd be a little weird if I'm trying to and then you put the fingers like this. And oh, by the way, if you happen to be gardening and doing something else in the background, maybe now's the time you want to get back to the screen and see my actual visual. Oh, I could try. I could take out the Martians. Could it? Where's the Martian? I could take out the Martians. Wait, hold on. Come on. Where are you? There. Oh, no, I'm blocking the hand. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. Yes, we like Cunilingus too. We have it on our planet. All right. So I think I've lost everyone on TikTok now. I'm back to zero. Like, what? Cunilingus? No, we're not doing that. Or I'm surprised I didn't get a warning from TikTok going, you're not allowed to say that. It's community guidelines. You can't. Yeah, so I'm not going to get into the physical aspect of all that Cunilingus or whatever. It's something that if you're a guy, right? If you're a guy and you don't do it for whatever reason, you think it's icky or ooey or it doesn't smell good down there, which, by the way, does happen, right? So maybe you could just share kindly with your girlfriend, with your partner. Hey, you want to take a shower before we do the, And by the way, I don't do it like that, right? Corn on the cob. When you hold corn on the cob and then you just kind of twist it and go. But no, obviously I don't do it like that. Whoa, man, il fait chaud ici. Hey, whoa, I'm going somewhere. I don't think. Whoa. Thank goodness I've only waited for the last 7 minutes of the show to do this. Because clearly I could talk a lot about it, but and maybe down the road we'll have a real, I'll do some research. I'll actually not just my personal research, I'll actually read or put some articles together or something, And who knows? Maybe down the line, I'll even if with Fred's help and we have technical stuff going on, maybe we'll have 2 microphones, and maybe we'll even have, the woman's side of the Cunilingus. I don't want to advance too quickly, but that would be definitely something worth looking into. So to resume, I like Cunilingus. I like giving it. I think it's a very intimate moment. There's a lot of love in there. And if you do it well, I think she's going to feel the love and she's going to be thinking about you and probably asking more of it, more often, which is a good thing because it's also very useful because but it's also very useful because Cunilingus you can do in a car. You can do by walking car. Wow, you can do it anywhere. Yeah, you could be like, you're at a reception or something, private event, and then you just kind of sneak in the closet and like, like oh my goodness. Oh, yeah, low key. Invite low key on TikTok. No, man, this is not low key at all. But thanks for joining. Okay, so yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't want people to think that that's how. No, that's not how I do it. But yeah, you could definitely do it in a more discreet way. Just like women, the fellatio that they do. We're in the car, we're driving, and if you happen to have like a minivan and no one can see, or a pickup truck, that's always good for that. Well, it's the same thing for the how do you call that? The tongue there, the tongue on the lips there. What do you call that? The cunilingo, the kula, the pussy job. The pussy's the whatever you call that. Cunilingus. Yeah, that's what I mean. The tongue on the pussy there. That's what I call it. Yeah. Or if there's all called, when I as a woman put my tongue on her because I love her. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So so definitely there's a lot of intimacy there, and it can be a very beautiful moment, exciting, and I'm all for it. Really, like if I was running for president, I'd be like, as I want you to know, you can never have enough cunilingus. Because the cunilingus is good. I like it. I do it all the time. I wake up in the morning and I go, where's my woman's pussy? I wonder what I can do with my tongue. Wow, cunilingus feels right. Just you want to, yeah. Make sure you do it once, twice, 4 times a day. Good. It's hot. No, it's not hot. If it's hot, it's bad. Not good. If it smells like fish. Garbage. No. All right, one more. Wait, hold on. What do you mean you don't know how to do cunilingus? Oh, wow. I just want to quick. I'm like all over the place. I want to show you guys the bat bag. This is the bat bag. Because I spoke about the bat bag. Right? When I went swimming and I kind of almost drowned because of the bat bag. No. Yeah. So, where were we? What do you mean you can't do cunilingus? Use the bat tongue. I'm Sean Connery. I'm very good at it. I've been doing it. If she pulls out this, you pull out your tongue. If she does this, you do. Okay, that's enough there now. We don't want to deal with any censorship board. So, hey, thanks for watching. That, I think it's brave enough that I touched upon those subjects. And before we go, let me just remind you one last time. If you go to cruisoid.ca, the kind of thing there that you see at the bottom there, for your 10% discount, right? Very important. Use the promo code SWD10. And when you're shopping on their website, you will get, once you put in the shopping cart, all the articles you want. So, hey, if you want to just save $10, you can do that. If you just want to save $100, you can do that. If you want to save $1,000, buy $10,000 worth of stuff and you'll save, 10%, $1,000. And so they're officially sponsoring us as a profit organization, by the way. So there's that. Secondly, I want to say that this podcast, the brainchild who gets me to talk about cunilingus and say, yeah, I like it, is actually not at all sponsored, affiliated, or associated with any non-profit organization such as Alcoholics Anonymous. I have nothing to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. This podcast has nothing to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. This is my brainchild where I said, hey, I'd like to do a podcast where I could literally stick out my tongue and talk about it. That's what I'm talking about. Cunilingus. I want to do some Cunilingus. That's what I'm talking about. And finally, let's finish off with the Serenity Prayer. Dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change those that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between both. Wow, what a show. What a show. Cunilingus, who would have thought? That's, what's the next show going to be about? I don't know yet, but it's going to be a Tashta Circlotaban. Okay. So, as I usually say to finish off, I almost forgot. Because, it is important that we talk about 12-step program. And so I do want to share with you one that I've chosen. And it's an important one. And it's part of the process of being an alcoholic, more to the point of becoming a recovering alcoholic. And that's step number 8. Make a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Right? Last episode, we talked about number 9, where we make amends to those we can, except those that would injure them or others. But before we make that amends, we need to make a list. So number 8 is to make a list. Now, this list can be very big, like it can be very small. Obviously, if you think you've hurt a lot of people, then it's probably going to be very big. If you're only ready to talk to a few people, and that's all right too. I made my list, in my head, and I've approached certain of those people. Certain were like ready for it, like my ex-girlfriend, not my last ex, but the ex before that. And we had a few conversations, and I think she got the gist of it. And then I think a year or two, when I was even more in the movement and I was, really ready to really go on a more profound level, she never responded. And that's all right, because like it says, you don't want to injure people. I probably would like to have another go at making amends to my last ex, although we have been having conversations recently and I have been sharing a lot. There's probably a bit more that I can say with her. But as I advance, I realized, you know what? I have an employer that I used to work with that suddenly we stopped working together. And at the time, I thought that it was all his fault. And I realized that although my reasons for refusing to do a certain task because it endangered my life, as far as I was concerned, not to his eyes and perhaps not to someone who's experimented, but, I don't want to climb on a ladder and risk falling at a certain height but the way I went about refusing to do the task, that's all on me. And maybe that's what set him off. It wasn't just the fact that I was saying no, it was how I was saying it. And maybe it was affecting his ego and whatnot. And although he didn't tell me right on the spot that I was no longer going to work with him, about 3 months later, I kind of understood through him actually saying, you know what, we're pretty much done. I would have appreciated him telling me earlier, so I would have taken other measures. But so he's on the list, and I've been meaning to call him. And it's funny because just the other day I saw he was setting up for a show here in our village, but he was quite busy and it wasn't the time. But I'd like to. This is one of my goals. This is part of my list. I want to make amends. And and the list, of course, it's a living list, right? Because we're not perfect. We have our mistakes. So down the road, there might be some other people that I feel, okay, you know what? I need to make amends. I've already mentioned that on the episode where I met my business mentor, and when I first approached him, getting his phone number, it was at the same time he was giving it to another member, and then I felt really bad, so I made amends, and then he said, "Yeah," he said, "I understood that I'm becoming your business mentor," and I'm like, "Oh, so that was a good thing." So all this to say that step number 8, which is very important in the 12-step program, which is a program that was created by Bob and Bill, or Bill and Bob, 91 years ago, and they started the movement, the Alcoholics Anonymous movement. And although I'm not associate, affiliate, or sponsored by this movement, I'm allowed to share the great stuff that they have, which is what I'm doing. So step number 8, make a list of all the people. And you can start making the list. You don't have to make the list and then go right away and see the people, because that might take time too. You might say, you know what? I don't feel it right now. I know who I need to go to, but I don't feel it. Kind of like me and my ex-employer. There you go. All right. That's a lot of talking now. Okay. All right. Keep on talking. No, actually, that's about it. You know what? I'm running my mouth here, and the people on TikTok are like, I don't get it, man. What is he talking to? YouTube? He's talking to me? Who are you talking to? I'm talking to all of you. I'm talking to all of you. So let me just finish. I want to wish you all a wonderful week. And some smiles, some good 24 hours at a time, be in the present moment. And I want to finish with, do it well for the self. Do it with respect for the all. Do it with the intention of humanity's love. Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. I will figure out where your comments are eventually, but still leave them. Subscribe. I got a Facebook channel. I got an Instagram. I got a YouTube. I'm going to eventually get a Twitch. More than my validation, it's really about just getting the numbers up so more people get to see the show, so we get to broadcast it, because I'm on a mission. And when I say this, I'm wondering if I'm having a psychosis. No, I say this with humility. I'm on a mission, and Serenity Winz. It's there for everyone. So on that note, I want to wish you all a great week. Thanks for listening and or watching, or listening and then, popping in just to watch that graphic moment and then going back to your gardening or your, I guess you could be practicing music and listening in the background. Yeah, that's possible. What are you doing? Mechanics? Cooking? You're definitely baking. You're cooking. I'm in the background. Hey, we talked about Cunilingus. Maybe you're having that hoochie coochie moment with your woman and you're like, I want to hear exactly how he talks about it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a little too intimate, but thanks for being there. And I wish you all. And I want to wish you what and wish you all. What I want to wish you and what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want. So tell me what you want, what you really want, what you want, what you want. All right, folks. Have a great one, and I'll see you on episode number 15.